presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
Tonight in Oakland, the Twins hope to end a 10-game losing streak to the A's, hoping to even their series record on this road trip out a game apiece. Oakland fans coming out in larger numbers because the A's have the best record in Major League Baseball. Kyle Gibson has been Minnesota's best starting pitcher. Scott Kazmir reconstructed his career last year with Cleveland, and he's even better this year in his first year with the Oakland A's. And we welcome you to the Coliseum in the East Bay. Dick Bramer along with Jack Morris as the Twins hope to beat the Oakland A's, and hoping that Kyle Gibson can continue to show his level of improvement on the road.
Well, he certainly has done well in his last 4 starts on the road, and I think it's just a case where he's starting to feel confident. He's throwing the ball over the plate. He's able to elevate his pitches. You saw some of those great sinking fastballs, his slider down and into left-handers, down and away to right-handers, and then he's able to locate fastballs. But one thing that he's done better than anything is he's throwing more strikes and walking less hitters.
And he's done his homework. He knows he's got a tough task here tonight against the Oakland A's.
They make the pitcher work. They're not going to let you go out there and have 7 and 8 pitch innings. They're going to make sure that, one, you're throwing strikes early, and then they'll change their approach to be more aggressive if they need to. They do a good job of scoring runs. They get on base. I think their team average is actually pretty close to ours, so, they don't go out and string a bunch of hits together, but they get on base and they make it work, and, they hit the long bar pretty well.
Twins hope to give Kyle Gibson some early run support. Hope to come out of Oakland with a win here tonight in Game 2. All on Fox Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. And by Jeep. Hurry in and get a great deal during the Jeep Summer Clearance event. The A's 70-44 start tonight with a 3-game lead over the Angels in their division. It's also a 3-game lead for the best record in the major leagues. The Angels have the second best record. And this Oakland team has played very good baseball for a long time now. It's a Friday night, and we were commenting you'd expect there'd be a lot more people here than there are. Ron Gardenhire hoping that he can pick up win number 1,050 tonight and end what's been a far too long losing streak against the Oakland A's. They've done seemingly everything better than the Twins over the last 10 games. But here's the Menards batting order for the Twins tonight. Danny Santana, followed by Brian Dozier, Trevor Plouffe, Kenny Vargas, Oswaldo Arcia, Kurt Suzuki, Chris Parmelee getting the start at first base, Eduardo Nunez, and Jordan Schaefer.
And the Twins will be facing a left-hander, Scott Kazmir. He's 12-4 with a 2.53 ERA. He's making his 23rd start for the Oakland A's this year. He's been tough. A lot of what we saw last night you'll see again tonight. He knows how to pitch, knows how to locate his pitches, and knows how to read hitters, so it should be a good one.
Northland Ford defense for the A's. Brandon Moss is in left field. Former Twin Sam Fuld in center. Josh Reddick in right. Josh Donaldson, Jed Lowry, Eric Sogard, Stephen Vogt, John Jaso around the mound. Kazmir was a key guy for the Oakland A's as you look at Sam Fuld enjoying his second stint with the Oakland A's. The Twins got him on waivers from Oakland and then traded him back to Oakland last week. Kazmir really enjoying his first season here in Oakland after helping lead the Indians to a surprise playoff spot last year. Indians decided to let 2 key starting pitchers drift away in free agency. Kazmir, who settled here, Ubaldo Jimenez, who's had a very difficult time in his first year with the Orioles. Danny Santana to get things going. Strike on the outside corner. Santana, Dozier, and Plouffe. Twins were shut out last night. Kazmir was the starting pitcher in the first home game of the year at Target Field. The Twins handled him okay. He walked 4 guys. The Twins got enough hits to score a few runs against him. But Kazmir and the A's won that ball game.
He's another one of those guys that if you don't get early, he seems to settle in, and then he really starts painting. He's able to start putting the ball where he wants to.
Ball hit hard to center field, and Fuld over there to make the catch. On a 2-strike pitch, Santana hits it sharply for an out.
Mall of America scouting report on Scott Kazmir. He's a lot like John Lester. I mentioned that earlier. He hides the ball well. It's tough for the hitters to pick up the ball out of his hand, and he knows how to read hitters. He's a veteran. This guy's been through a lot in his career, and veterans usually learn. They're not necessarily as good as they once were, but they're smarter than they ever have been.
Dozier with a foul. And like Lester, Kazmir has a good cutter, and Kazmir learned his cutter from John Lester last year. The Indians and the Red Sox were playing each other, and Kazmir was out in the outfield talking with Lester, and Lester showed him how he gripped the ball, what he tried to do with the cutter. Kazmir picked it up and had a much improved cutter after that. Now he's brought his cutter over here to the Oakland A's, and so too with the trade is John Lester. There's a dribbler up the line and a foul ball.
It'll be interesting to me to see if somehow Bob Melvin's able to kind of change around the pitching rotation with Kazmir and Lester going back-to-back here in this series. It would appear to me that if they threw a right-hander in between them, or maybe even 2, it might be advantageous, because these guys are a lot alike in so many ways. And I think as Kazmir sits on the bench and listens to Lester over the next month or so, they're both going to learn a lot from each other, and I think that's a good thing.
That drifts outside. You know, the A's have 5 very good starting pitchers. Well, 4 good ones. Hamill struggled since he's come over, but they have the 3 right-handers lined up in succession, and then the 2 left-handers. 1-2. And Dozier strikes out. 2 down.
Well, just a real sneaky fastball there. That ball really got in on Brian Dozier in a hurry, and he's probably looking breaking ball and gets the express, but up and away, he's throwing it out of the zone. Brian expands the zone a little bit, but you're going to see a lot of that from Kazmir as the game goes on.
Lester finished the game with 9 shutout innings last night and an ERA of 2.44, third in the American League. Kazmir starts this game with an ERA of 2.53, and that is 5th in the American League. Strike one to Plouffe. Hit hard to left. Moss going back near the track makes the catch. A couple of well hit balls, a strikeout. It all adds up to a 1-2-3 first inning. Melvin with the 10-game winning streak, now a winning record against the Twins. That includes his time with the Seattle Mariners. And the A's lineup for game 2. Coco Crisp is the designated hitter. John Jaso hitting second. Josh Donaldson, Brandon Moss, Jed Lowry, Josh Reddick, Stephen Vogt, Sam Fold, and Eric Sogard.
Right-hander Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Twins tonight. He's making his 22nd start of the year, and he's just getting nothing but better, it seems like, especially on the road. It'll be interesting to see how he gets through the early innings, because once he settles in, it seems like he can get on cruise control in a hurry.
7 innings complete in his last 2 starts, a couple of wins in Kansas City and in Chicago. He provided the winning bookends to that road trip. He pitched the first game in Kansas City and obviously pitched a good ball game, 7 shutout innings, and then he pitched the finale in Chicago and did so successfully, 3 earned runs in 7 innings.
His first start against the Oakland A's here tonight, and first pitch gets an out.
Couldn't be any quicker. 1 down. Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Some speed in the outfield. In left, Jordan Schaefer. In center, Danny Santana. And Arcia is in right. Plouffe, Nunez, Dozier, Arnold, Suzuki. Playing in the dirt around Gibson. Catcher John Jaso will hit.
Never say that about outfielders playing in the dirt. You know, pitchers, all the infielders.
How did Gladden always end up with a dirty jersey since he's an outfielder?
Well, he's going to tell you that he was sliding on the warning track, chasing down all my old fly balls, but he liked to slide. I'll tell you that.
1-0 to Jaso, and missing again. 2-0. Gibson, 10 wins, 8 losses, an ERA of under 4. He's had some starts that have gotten away from him. Some very short starts. Another roller. This one sounded like a broken bat bouncer to Dozier. 2 away.
Good sign right there that his sinker is running already because he already has gotten 2 left-handers to roll a little ground ball out to Dozier at second.
Gibson's had 4 starts that have totaled 9 innings. A 3-inning start and 3 2-inning starts. And obviously things didn't go well for him, and a lot of runs scored in those 4 starts. And other than that, he's really had a great year.
Well, I don't want to predict anything because it's very difficult to do, but I can say this with confidence. Those games might be behind this young man because I think you learn from them. And if you're good at all, you never want to be in those positions again. You want to at least get through the 5th inning, somehow figure things out. He did a really good job of that in his last start in Chicago. He was on cruise control, and then he went through a rough inning. He gave up 3 runs ultimately in that start. And that's the first time that he was cruising, got into a jam, and then got out of it again and went on to have a successful game.
1-1 to Donaldson. It's hit to right center field. And that will run to the wall, and Donaldson has a 2-out double. That'll bring up Brandon Moss. First hit of the game, and it's an extra base hit for the all-star third baseman.
Josh Donaldson, you see this pitch right here. It's kind of down and in. He pulls his hands in, gets the barrel of the bat on the ball, and just a good, sweet swing. Was able to shoot the ball in the gap in right center. As a pitcher, you're early in the game. You make a good pitch like that, and the guy squares it up pretty good. All you can do is say, you know what? You tip your hat to him and say, you got me that time. I'm going to see if I can get it in a little bit deeper next time. But you got to go after the next hitter and forget the guy at second base.
Falling behind Moss, 1-0. Coming into this game, Gibson's given up 53 earned runs, 25 of them. Nearly half of those runs came in those 4 short starts, totaling 9 innings. Trying to pitch around a 2-out double here in the first. And missing again, 2-0.
Kyle's worked hard to get his ERA under 4. It's a 3.93 coming into tonight's game. And when you have those kind of games where you give up a pile of runs in a very short amount of time, it takes a long, long time as a starter to get it back into respectability.
Swing and a miss, 2-1. Threw him a changeup on 2-0.
That ball had really good movement and good location down and away. I've always said a changeup's got one spot it should always be thrown in, and that's down and away. Because if you leave a changeup on the inner half, a guy can have his upper body out in front or his lower body out in front, but keep his hands back and still drop the barrel.
That covers the inside corner to even the count. Donaldson's at second with 2 away. And now a full count. Jed Lowry on deck.
Dick, we were talking about the attendance here tonight for a team that has got the best record in baseball. It's not as impressive as we thought it might be. But I can tell you this, the people that are here, they're into fun. They're having a blast. The band is already starting to get going out in right field.
Changeup got him. And Gibson does a nice job stranding Donaldson at second base. No score after 1. runs this year. As I mentioned, he's among the league leaders in ERA. Kansas City did score 4 against him in 6 innings and got 10 hits in his last start here against the Royals. Kenny Vargas will lead off the second. Strike down and away on the corner.
That was a significant number of hits and runs off this guy. He's been pretty stingy with that. And it'll be interesting to see if he can bounce back.
Fouled back. He gave up, 4 runs, 4 earned runs in July, and then 4 against the Royals in his only August start. And like Lester last night, so far he's gotten ahead of a lot of hitters 0-1 and 0-2, just missing outside 1 and 2. It's been a remarkable transformation. Kazmir was on the scrap heap and an afterthought when it came to the 30 major league clubs. Tapper to the right side. Sogard has an easy play. 1 down. And that'll bring up Arcia. Time now for you to tweet your photo using hashtag NorthFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. Just a couple of years ago, Kazmir, who had been a very good pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, found himself in independent baseball. And when the manager came to the mound to take him out, the manager was Gary Gaetti for the Sugarland Skeeters.
Well, Gaetti also had a guy named Roger Clemens.
That's true. Strike 1.
And he offered a job to a right-hander named Jack Morris, and I declined. But
when was that?
Just a couple years ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it was. I was laughing about Clemens playing, and he said, "Hey, we're looking for other guys. You want a uniform? We'll give you one."
Again, 0-2. This time to Arcia.
The funny thing about Kazmir is he was up for grabs for anybody, and Billy Beane has this crazy knack of somehow landing these guys. Now, granted, Arcia strikes out on the slider down and away. Granted, he kind of resurrected his career with Cleveland last year, but even after last year, I think pretty much everybody could have had a shot at him.
Good breaking ball down and away. Arcia missed it by plenty.
Yeah, it starts on the plate and then breaks well off the plate, but takes a little off. You see how far in front Arcia was.
Twins didn't get a hit till Suzuki's leadoff single in the 6th inning last night. See if Suzuki can get the first Twins hit in his first at bat tonight. Down low, ball 1. Mentioned last night a number of times, Suzuki playing here as a visiting ball player for the first time when he was with the Nationals. They never came here. And now a strike at the knees. Not a good year for Suzuki. He started with Washington, finished the year here. Very popular among his teammates here, but also the fans. He has a lot of fan base here that really respects and admires what he did for this.
And why shouldn't they?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's just a sign. I think these Oakland A fans just love good baseball players, guys that give them a good effort.
Hit to right center field. It's chased by Reddick, and it's a center fielder full, making the catch short of the warning track. Another 1-2-3 inning.
The Twins against the A's here in Oakland. I'm Marnie Gellner. Gibson made an adjustment 2 starts ago because he has said he had been throwing too many fastballs in hitters' counts. He said, I'd get behind 2-0 or 2-1 and I'd throw a fastball right when a hitter was looking for a fastball. So he said he's become more conscious of mixing up his pitches, especially early on. Here in the first inning tonight, we saw Gibson go down 2-0 to Brandon Moss and threw him a changeup. So he's making the adjustment already, and Gibson said, if I do get behind and I need to throw a fastball, I need to make sure it's better located or go with something off speed. Jack Morris, that seems like a pretty obvious concept, but as a pitcher, how much more difficult is that to really implement?
It's all about confidence, Marnie. If you don't believe you can throw a strike with your secondary or third pitch when you're behind in a count, that's why you give in to a hitter, and that's when you really can get tattooed. And Kyle's obviously got confidence with his slider and his changeup.
And he threw the changeup there to Lowry on a 1-0 pitch. Got a swing and a miss. As Marnie said, when Moss was up, it was 2-0. He threw a changeup, got a swing and a miss. Maybe more importantly, when it was 3-2, he threw the changeup and struck him out.
There is so much to be said between a pitcher and a catcher and the signals that the catcher calls, and most of the time a pitcher that shakes off a catcher is not so much about location, it's about the fact that his confidence with a pitch might not be there, and that's usually true with anything other than a fastball. Every pitcher that gets to the big league should be able to locate his fastball. That's a given, but not so easy to locate a breaking ball or a changeup, especially early in the game.
Fastball line to right, and Arcia makes a catch. So he conceded a fastball on 3-1 and got Lowry to line out for the first out. Coors Light cold hard fact. We've talked about this before. Gibson, when he's good, he's really, really good, and when he's been bad, he's been just as bad.
The good news is he hasn't been bad in a while.
Right, that's true.
And let's just hope that continues.
I would guess that unless you are someone like Clemens, who jumped into the league and had overpowering stuff, and even he might have had a few starts like here's the ball hit off the mound, but right into the shift. Nunez is there 2 away. You've got to have those starts, don't you? It's no fun, but you've got to fail at this level, if it makes any sense, to learn how to succeed at this level.
No question. No question. And that is exactly why, and Twins fans probably question, Kyle Gibson brought up last year. It was kind of a up and down thing, and early this spring he had a couple good starts and then a couple bad ones. And I've tried to let fans know that's part of the learning curve. If you don't have any kind of failures, how are you ever going to understand how to get out of them once they come? And the only way you get out of them is have success. So you need both when you're young. And then you can start dialing in and saying, look, I've been here before. I know what happened on my last pitch. I've talked about this before. You've got a fraction of a second to figure out what you just did and adjust for the next pitch.
Gibson is pitched scoreless ball here so far, but he sure has thrown most of his pitches behind in the count. When Gibson's been good, he's been pounding the strike zone. That's not been the case here in the first couple innings.
But he's getting through the inning, and once he finds it, it could be, there's one that just flies up and away. You can see him open up. He's a little frustrated with himself. This is where you take a deep breath, try to get back in, and you remember what you did right in the last start, maybe, or in the bullpen. He knows that he flew open there. See if he can come back together.
Comes back with a strike taken, a fastball.
He just slowed everything down on that pitch. For the one before, he was just kind of going fast. You could see his whole delivery. He slowed everything down to get his arm on top.
Bounce to first. Parmalee backhands it. He'll go to the bat. And a 1-2-3 second inning for Kyle Gibson. Presented by Century Link, your link to what's next. By Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealers today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. The beautiful Golden Gate Bridge. And here in the Bay Area, Kyle Gibson pitching for the first time against the A's, has a couple of scoreless innings. Chris Parmelee lashes one foul. He'll be followed by Nunez and Schaefer, and as was the case last night, the Twins have gone 6 up and 6 down for the first 2 innings. Parmelee getting the start instead of the right-handed batting Chris Colabello. And while Colabello and Parmelee are hitting roughly the same against right-handed pitching, oddly, Parmelee's hitting left-handers a whole lot better than the right-handed swinging Colabello. There's a high fly to center field, fold over a few steps. One away against lefties. Parmelee's hitting .321. Colabello hitting just .211. One down. And J.J. Hardy with a couple of home runs as the Orioles thumped the Cardinals 12-2. Derek Jeter tying another shortstop, Honus Wagner, 6th on the hit list. And the Tigers scored 3 runs in the 9th inning against Casey Jansen to beat the Blue Jays 5-4. Important because right now the Royals at home are leading the Giants 4-2 in the 7th inning, and if the Tigers hadn't come back and won that game, and the Royals had won that game, their game, it would have been a game and a half lead in the Central.
Pretty tight.
Nunez takes outside 1-1. Really tightening up in the American League Central, not because Kansas City's playing great, although they've won 4 in a row. This one punched to short right field. Sogard has it covered, 2 away. The Tigers just can't seem to get anything going just when you think they're ready to run away from everybody else. Target Field has become the top choice for families throughout Twins territory for all kinds of special occasions and commemorations. Groups of 25 or more qualify for special ticket discounts and can reserve certain seats without a deposit. Organize your family group outing at Target Field by calling 800-33-TWINS or going to twinsbaseball.com/groups. 2 down. Here's Jordan Schaefer. Check swing, ball 1. They do appeal and they call a strike. John Jaso didn't think he went, but finally somebody from the dugout yelled, well, let's challenge that or check the third base umpire. And Brian Gorman said it was a strike. And now Hickox calls the next one a strike. So just like that, Schaefer's behind in the count 0-2.
Cashmere has been in this situation the entire game.
That's to left center field. Fold. Will let Moss handle it. 3 1-2-3 innings and a quick third for Scott Kazmir. 33 for the Oakland A's. Valuable fourth outfielder and a good ball club, obviously, Sam Fuld. Just kidding, Sam, for the game today. You know, they always say in baseball you can't steal first base, but that's kind of what he tried to do last night. Bob Melvin wanted him to pinch run for Johnny Gomes if Johnny Gomes had gotten on base, and Fuld misunderstood, and he ran out to run for Alberto Callaspo.
The umpires absolutely got that thing all wrong.
Yes.
They no question got that one wrong, and somehow Gardy just didn't seem to have it affect him too much.
Well, I asked him, and I asked Ed Montague, who's sitting 5 feet from me here across the glass, the retired umpire, and Ed Montague suggested too that, you know, that was a protestable decision, and I thought Ron Gardenhire handled things awfully well by not doing that. That would have, you know, if the Twins were in contention, it might have been a different situation because the A's didn't have anybody else to play second base other than their designated hitter. They would have had to play the rest of the game without the designated hitter. At any rate, everybody was able to recover from it. It was an umpire mistake. It wasn't. Gardy said he's done it too, where he's come out and he's called for a left-handed pitcher, and the umpires signaled to the bullpen with the right hand. Remember, it happened, I think it was last year. And Casey Fiend runs out of the bullpen of the mound. Gardy said, "What are you doing here? I wanted Brian Dunsing." And then they had to switch.
Him back.
Right. 1-2 to Fuld.
I'm just trying to figure out what.
Called third strike, one away.
Good pitch right there. Kyle Gibson getting ahead of Sammy. And then freezing him with a good slider. See this again. This is the strikeout pitch. You can see his slider just kind of over the top. Great location. Fuld thought it might have stayed inside. And too good to take.
In the 10-game winning streak against the Twins, which two Oakland Athletics have hit the most home runs? Wouldn't it be odd? Because you kind of trash-talked the truck a little bit last night when they gave us a shot of Brian Dunsing. And you said, well, you know, they'll get us a shot of somebody that means they're probably in the end. Wouldn't it be odd if it was Kurt Suzuki? And it could be. I don't think it is.
Well, I'm pretty sure the truck's not going to tip it off when we're about ready to answer.
No. Sogard with a fly ball to right. Arcia comes in to make a catch, 2 away. Couple of fly ball outs, the rest of them on strikeouts and ground outs.
I was just trying to envision coming out of the bullpen, all the way from the bullpen to the mound, and have your manager say, "What are you doing here?"
I don't know that it got that far, but they did allow the Twins to make the right change. The manager comes out of the dugout and he signals with the left hand. The umpire calls him in with the right hand. 2 down in the third. Here's Coco Crisp. Hit a bouncer on the first pitch he saw. One hopper to Dozier in the first inning. Strike one. We'll pay close attention here. Sure looks like in the third inning, Gibson's shaking off a little rust, whatever. He's throwing more first pitch strikes. Missing 1-1.
And that may be part of his game plan. You know, I think he's a pretty smart kid. He's watching Johan Pino yesterday getting into some trouble because of time and time again there for a period they were hitting the first pitch fastball.
Down low.
Talked to Gardy about that, and he was saying that Kurt Suzuki had told him that he called breaking balls and that he just wasn't able to locate it. Of course, Gardy was of the opinion that Suzuki probably should have gone out there and had a little chat with him.
And now 2-2. Gibson, the hope is certainly that he'll be a big part of a successful pitching future for the Twins. We'll get another glimpse of that future tomorrow. Trevor May's been announced as the starting pitcher for tomorrow night's game.
Looking forward to that one.
Phil Hughes will pitch on Sunday.
A lot of talk about Trevor May, of course, Alex Meyer. And he was on the bus. I said hello to him. very excited for the young man. Here's the numbers for Trevor May down in Rochester.
He had a consistent year, and I think that's one of the things the Twins felt really good about. He didn't have any of those wild swings like Gibson has had up here, and he'll make his major league debut tomorrow. 2-2 to Coco Crisp. Check swing. And Brian Gorman says no.
It's kind of funny how it all turns out, but May is kind of like in the same position that Gibson was a year ago. Getting called up about this time. We're going to look at the check swing by Coco Crisp.
Ooh.
It sure looked like his bat crossed the plate, but
it looked like
Brian Gorman said no.
More of a strike than the one to Jordan Schaefer a few minutes ago, though, the check swing. 3-2 to Coco Crisp. Yeah, Gibson was called up earlier in the year. In May, the hope is he'll pitch well enough to stay up here for the balance of the season. And a walk. Gibson gave up a 2-out double in the first, now a 2-out walk in the third. Gibson with wins in his first 2 starts, but his walk total's too high for his taste. He walked 8 men in his first 2 starts.
Well, he's done a lot better job of that. You see in the last 14 starts, he's only walked 14 hitters. And my good old Minnesota Masters, that's won a game, but he just gave up his first right there, and maybe that'll be the last.
Jaso, the batter. A broken bat bouncer to Dozier his first time up. Smash right at Dozier, and that ends the 3rd inning. Another low-scoring game here with Gibson throwing zeros up there as well as his mound opponent Kazmir. Marnie Gellner bringing you Twins baseball from the Bay Area. We were out here earlier this year to play the Giants. That didn't go too well. The Giants swept the Twins in a 3-game series. Oakland started the Target Field part of the schedule this year by coming to Minnesota, sweeping the Twins.
Yeah, other than San Diego, the Twins have had a tough time with the Western teams.
And Seattle. Twins did okay against Seattle. Won a couple of series against the Mariners. Here's Danny Santana. Fell behind 0-2. There's a ball hit into the foul ground down by the Twins bullpen and into the seats. Twins were swept at home by the Dodgers, swept at home by the A's, swept here by in the Bay Area by the Giants, swept out here by the Angels, and then last night, yuck.
And it continues here tonight. Kazmir going through the lineup in order. Twins get their second look at him here with Danny Santana.
Again, 0-2. You know, with all the money that was spent, you really can't say it was a factor here in Oakland, but I mean, there's been a tremendous shift in baseball talent. Forget the finances. Pujols comes out to the West Coast. Cano comes out to the West Coast. Chopped off the plate, right to Kazmir. One down. And that'll bring up Dozier. Target Field suites are available for single game rental for groups of 19 to 96. Choose from Premier Suites, the flexible event suites, or the very spacious Skyline suites. Make coming to a Twins game an extra special experience by renting a private suite. And you can do that by calling 833-TWINS or visiting twinsbaseball.com. Dozier takes strike one. He struck out in his first at bat against Kazmir. The talent and the money shift from the East Coast to the West Coast included the big trade the Red Sox made with the Dodgers. The Red Sox got rid of a lot of contracts. Carl Crawford, Adrian Gonzalez, so on and so forth. The Dodgers just assumed a bunch of expensive contracts. 2 strikes and now a ball.
Well, the one thing this whole coastline has to offer, whether you're all the way up to Seattle or all the way down to San Diego, is there's not a bad place weather-wise to play.
Right.
And there's a lot of guys that really take that into consideration.
On the ground, couple of hops to short. Lowry throws him out, 2 down. 11 up, 11 down. That'll bring up Blue. You mentioned it last night. You would have loved to have come out here and pitched if given the opportunity, in part because of the climate.
Well, again, and I'll say it tonight. I know the fans watching our broadcast tonight can't feel it, but this is perfect baseball weather to me.
Yeah.
You feel alive. It is gorgeous out. It's not cold, and yet you're invigorated.
Game time temperature, first pitch temperature, 69 degrees.
But it feels warmer than 69.
Yeah. Plouffe takes a strike. 37 pitches for Kazmir, 31 strikes.
Well, he's having an easy time with it, just like John Lester did last night. It's puzzling to me watching this Twins lineup not having good at bats, not getting deep into counts, not grinding it out. And I know it's frustrating the coaching staff. We talk to them every day. They're doing everything they can. They can't play the game for them.
2-1.
There's 2 guys right there on both sides of Ron Gardenhire that were grinders. Tom Bernansky, Terry Steinbach. They were guys that weren't going to throw away an at-bat. They're doing everything they can to help this ball club.
2-2 to Plouffe. And a liner to left his first time up. And another foul ball. Twins are hopeful that in Houston, Joe Mauer will rejoin the club and hit the 3rd spot. But Plouffe has hit there most of the time in Mauer's absence. Popped up behind first. Vogt makes the catch. 4 perfect innings for Scott Kazmir. Stay tuned for this important message from Mesh Mesher and Spence.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Twins. Sanford Health injury report. From here, the Twins go to Houston. And Jose Altuve, their all-star second baseman, left tonight's game against the Rangers with neck discomfort. Very much in the batting race in the American League. That's our Sanford Health injury report. Josh Donaldson, who hit the double with 2 outs in the first, will lead off the fourth against Gibson. Swing and a miss. When Trevor May was in the clubhouse today meeting with the media, and he was talking about the pressure, he's going to have family here, friends, about a dozen people are going to come down from the state of Washington, and some around the Bay Area, some around San Diego. They're all going to be here. And he thought, you know, one of the things he really has worked hard on this year is focusing on the mound. I would think, and this is somebody who, you know, didn't pitch out of high school, but that would be easier to do here because of the seating arrangement. I mean,
it's a long way from the playing surface. You're right.
If Trevor May's parents are sitting behind the Twins dugout, they're about 200 feet from the mound.
Can't hear your dad yelling at you.
Well, you know what I mean? I mean, Target Field is so intimate, and we love it for that reason.
Yards,
yes, they're right there.
Right on
but look how we talk about the foul territory, but that necessarily means the fans are way
funny
back.
Because I talked to Gardy about this and Trevor May's start tomorrow night, and I mentioned to him, I said, there is no better ballpark for him to come and pitch his first game. This is the best pitcher's park in baseball, in my opinion.
Why? Why is it?
Because of the foul territory.
Okay.
No other reason. And for me, of course, it's the weather, the climate. And he's going to have a 6:05 start. Sun might be a factor.
On the outside corner. And a great pitch by Gibson to strike out Donaldson. 1 down on the fourth.
Third strikeout now for Kyle Gibson. He seems to be getting dialed in himself. Going to have to match Kazmir. Just froze Donaldson with a fastball right there. That's the four-seamer that he throws away. He does not want that ball to sink back over because it's going to go right over the heart of the plate. So that's the four-seamer that he throws to that half of the plate.
Moss takes inside.
Pitching coaches will always tell their pitchers, when you're ahead, you want to miss off the plate. Throw to the corner, but if you miss, always miss off the plate.
Ground ball hit to Nunez. 2 down. Twins with the shift. And Moss is retired. Tomorrow, MLB on Fox Sports 1 returns with a doubleheader. The Yankees taking on the Indians, and then the Cardinals taking on the Orioles. Plus, you can catch the Twins against the Oakland A's. Trevor May's Major League debut starting at 7:30 Central Time. Coverage begins Saturday in the morning at 11:30 Central, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 2 down. Here's Lowry. And a liner to Arcia. His first time up. Ball 1. We've seen Gibson with the sinker. That's his signature pitch. We saw him strike out Donaldson with a four-seam fastball at 94 miles per hour. And so when we say fastball, we're really maybe doing it an injustice. There's a ball dropped down the right field line, fair by about 3 feet. Lowry will dig for second. The ball eludes Arcia, and now Lowry digging for third. And he's in. Arcia had problems with it in the corner. And Lowry ends up at third base.
Now, just the way it banged around there, once it was able to hit the outfield wall for the second time, that was enough that Jed Lowry, taking a peek out of his right eye as he's going towards second base, you see it hit off the foul wall and then off the outfield wall. He just puts his head down and easily gets into third base.
They give him a triple, and he stands at third with 2 down. That'll bring up Josh Reddick. Twins had a pull shift on for Reddick, and he hit it right to Nunez on the first base side of second base. Here with a runner at third, Gibson will go from the windup, but Nunez is in a more conventional spot. This one hooked foul, 1 strike. I was starting to say with Gibson, when we say a fastball, we really should, with him and other pitchers to identify, because there's a huge difference between a four-seam fastball.
We should actually call his two-seamer a sinker, because that's what it's trying to do.
Right. One strike to Reddick. And Gibson steps off and wants Suzuki to
good time
give some new signs.
Good time for Kurt Suzuki to get out there. This is an important at-bat. Last night's game, John Lester goes through the lineup in order for 5 straight innings. And by that time, Johan Pino had already given up 3 runs. It's very difficult to come back when you're getting deep into the game already. This game's moving right along. So Kyle Gibson's going to have to match Scott Kazmir pitch to pitch, inning to inning, and hope that his team can score first.
Missing the inside corner, 1-1. Gibson's given up a 2-out double, a 2-out walk, and now a 2-out triple. Bouncer right side. Dozier has to hurry to get Reddick, who is flying down the line. And the A's have all 3 base runners, and they've all been left aboard through 4 scoreless innings.
Twins fans, don't forget it. Twins home games, bring your Circle Me signs, and if you get circled, you may find yourself in the Minnesota Lottery Winner's Circle, where you could win $100 worth of scratch-off lottery tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.
Kenny Vargas will lead things off in the 5th. Twins still looking for their first base runner. Last night, John Lester, the Oakland starter, pitched 5 perfect innings before the Twins got 2 singles and a walk in the 6th. Vargas grounded out to second his first time up. This is incredible. 43 pitches, 35 strikes, and a ball stroke. A wicked deflection off the backhand side of Lowry. That'll be the first Twins hit. And Lowry disappointed he didn't make the catch, but glad that ball wasn't hit right at him. Wow.
It's hard to hang in there when a ball's hit that hard. Believe it or not, he had time to get in front of that ball. But you want to tend to olay that one, is what he did right there.
Hey.
And it's hard for any scorekeeper to give him an error when a ball's hit that hard.
So it's the first Twins hit. Garcia chops it foul.
Garcia had a tough go of it here in his first at-bat, swinging at a slider off the plate.
And a couple of good at bats against Lester last night. Hit a ball into the shift. Looked like it was a single up the middle. Then he did crack a sharp single to center later in the ball game. Chopped foul again.
What they've been working so hard with Oswaldo Arcia on is trying to go the other way. Don't be so pull happy. You saw on that last swing right there, even though the pitch was away, he was still trying to shoot the ball to right field and pull it. And he's going to be a lot better hitter when he goes with the pitch, especially with 2 strikes. That's when you have to acknowledge that you're in the jam, and you've got to be in a defensive mode there, try to shorten up a little bit and put the ball in play.
Struck him out. 1 away.
3 straight breaking balls.
And that'll bring up Kurt Suzuki.
Pretty much the exact same pitch that he threw him to strike him out back in the second inning.
One down. Here's Suzuki. He's had the longest at bat so far against Kazmir. He ended up flying out to center. And Suzuki bluffing a bunt, and Jaso throwing to Vogt to try to throw out Vargas at first base.
From our vantage point, we could see this developing. Vargas just gets a little too far off the bag. Had Vogt reacted as quick as Jaso reacted, there was a better chance that Vargas would have been thrown off at first base there.
1-0. Donaldson now creeping in at third, and Suzuki takes a strike. You could see Vargas seeing Suzuki threatening to bunt, edging even further off the base. That's kind of what happened the other day against San Diego when the runner at second base was doing that. Pitch was off the plate, and Fryer threw the runner out at second base. 2-1.
I think we all acknowledge that for a big man, Vargas runs okay, but he still would never be considered fast. So what he's doing is trying to cheat a little bit. He knows that he sees Suzuki squaring around, even if there isn't a sign for it, he's trying to figure out a way to get to second base, so he's not thrown out as the lead runner.
Inside to Suzuki, now 3-1. Parmalee on deck. You sure can't think of many times when Suzuki's given away in a bat, can you? I mean, we see it happen with the less experienced hitters on a far too regular basis. Cracked down the line. Nice stop by Donaldson. Out at second. What a double play. Suzuki hit a bullet. Donaldson picked it off and started an around the horn double play. Astros at third base this year, but Bob Melvin yesterday was adamant that he's just as good a defender this year as he was last year.
You want to be your best friend of the starting pitcher. You make plays like that, and the pitcher shows his appreciation. That's a big league play right there, and that's how you throw shutouts. You trust your defense. You know which guy to hit it to, your best defender. And Donaldson, even though he's made 19 errors, he hasn't shown us any of that. He's been pretty darn good.
The ball was headed down to the Oakland bullpen, and who knows what would have happened to Vargas, whether he would have scored or not. But certainly the Twins would have had a great opportunity. Instead, it's an inning-ending double play. Here's Stephen Vogt. Down and away, ball one. In the background, you might be able to hear the World Cup chant. Except here in Oakland, they're yelling, "I believe in Stephen Vogt." The gang out in right field is getting after it. And that's where he hit his home run yesterday. They were doing that yesterday just as he touched off the 2-run home run.
Well, that's a micro crowd of its own out there in right field. They have so much fun. They sing, they've got the bongos, they've got all sorts of musical instruments out there, and it's a united group of Oakland A's fans that come every night to just really have fun.
And a 4-pitch walk to Vogt starts the 5th inning. First time the A's have had a base runner on with less than 2 out. And let's check in with Marty Gellner.
Guys, tonight the Twins have Jordan Schaefer playing out in left field, who told me he's played 99% of his career games in center field and that he's not extremely comfortable in left, but he said the outfield is the outfield, so I should be all right. The biggest adjustment he's making is getting the good read off the ball. He said, I get good jumps in center field because I get a true read, but the ball comes off the bat a lot differently when you're standing in left. I asked Ron Gardenhire the same thing, how comfortable he is having Schaefer in left, and Gardy said, I don't worry about him because usually any of those center fielders can play any spot out there, and Dick and Jack Gardy said they can usually outrun any mistake they might make too.
Sam Fuld flashes bunt, takes a strike, and we saw Fuld do that as a member of the Twins. He primarily a center fielder, although most of his major league career was spent in the corner outfield spots prior to coming to the Twins. Bluefin on the grass at third. Leadoff man is on after the walk.
Well, the managers are going to start taking over this game. It's been a pitcher's duel. Bob Melvin recognizing that they may be struggling to get runs tonight themselves, so this is certainly a bunting situation with a guy that can put the bat on the ball and bunt a runner over.
Fuld called out on strikes. Gibson dropped a breaking ball over the inside corner back in the third. And it's a drag bunt. And Dozier can't make the play. Fuld trips over Dozier. The ball rolls into foul territory, and both runners will advance. Rather than simply dropping down a sacrifice, Fuld put it down into the ground hard. Parmalee picked it up, and Dozier didn't have much time to get to the bag. It almost looked like he tried to catch it with his bare hand.
Yeah, that was going to be a tough play for Brian Dozier to get in position. Sam Fuld lays down a perfect bunt. Parmalee does what he's supposed to do, just check the runner to see if there's any chance, and then he goes to first, and really it's a race to the bag between Dozier and Fuld to see who's going to get there first. Fuld probably would have got the hit anyway.
We're lucky both players are okay. This could have been disastrous.
So they give an error to allow the runners to advance.
Air charge to Parmalee. A bunt single for Fuld. Second and third, nobody out. Here's Sogard. Corner infielders up. To the leadoff walk. A bunt, and there you have it. A big threat here for the A's in the 5th inning.
Whole different scenario. Kyle Gibson has allowed a couple base runners, all with 2 outs this inning. Leadoff walk. That's the enemy of every pitcher. And now a base hit, and he's in desperate need of a strikeout or an infield fly ball.
Fox Tracks presented by Jeep, and again he falls behind 1-0. Sogard hit a fly ball to right his first time up.
Eric Sogard, a tough guy to strike out too. He's a pretty good contact hitter. The way he stands there, he's kind of spread out. He's got a very small strike zone.
Strike out once every 8 at bats, which in this day and age makes him very tough to strike out. He used to attack guys like that. Guys who struck out once every 8 times, go right after him, right? That's 70, 80 strikeouts a year. Nowadays, that's one of the tougher strikeouts in the league. Flew right in the edge of the grass. Parmalee a step or 2 back on the dirt. Middle infielder's back. Gibson with a 1-1 count. And now 2-1. Gibson's been right around 50% with his strike throwing. 62 pitches, 32 strikes.
Well, you've got to go after the number 9 hitter. That's Sogard. You've got Coco Crisp coming up next, and he is a very good contact hitter.
Down and away. 3-1. Happened last night. It was the bottom of the order for the A's that got things going. Vogt with a 2-run home run hitting 8th. That made it 2-0. Later a run that the A's, as it turned out, didn't need. But now here tonight in the 5th inning, 7th place batter Vogt walks. Bull just tries to drag a bunt up the first baseline. And before you know it, 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Three and 1. And a walk fills them up. And the bottom 3 batters for the Oakland A's all reach with nobody out. And that'll bring up Crisp after a trip to the mound.
It's funny how we talk about a player doing so much better in a certain part of his game. Kyle Gibson hadn't walked anybody to speak of here, and now in this inning alone he's walked 2 guys and got himself into a heck of a jam.
Didn't walk anybody the first time through the order, and now he's walked 3 guys the second time through the order, including Crisp, who drew a 2-out walk in the 3rd. Crisp hit the first pitch he saw for a ground out in the 1st. Then drew a 3-2 walk with 2 gone in the 3rd. Corner infielders up, middle infielders back. And ball 1. Fits it to Parmalee. They'll try to go 3-2-3 for a double play. If it's hit to Plouffe, they'll try to go 5-2-3 for a double play. If it's hit up the middle, they'll give up a run and turn a normal double play, or at least so it would appear. And Gibson has now thrown 66 pitches and still just 32 strikes.
Well, he's got to throw strikes. He's got to get the ball in play here. Coco Crisp can get down the line. It's going to be difficult for anything but a line drive at somebody, a 1-hopper to turn 2 and get Crisp at first base.
2-0 to Coco Crisp. And a strike. He only walked 1 of the first 15 guys here tonight. But if you look at the at-bats and the pitch count and how many balls and strikes, maybe we should have seen some of this coming, because he did not have very good command through his first 4 innings. He didn't throw many first pitch strikes at all. Now he's got a real mess to try to pull himself out of. 2-1. And now 2-2.
I think sometimes pitchers want to make a perfect pitch and Kyle admitted that at times he squeezed the ball too hard. He's trying to do too much with his fastball. And when you try to make a perfect pitch, you tend to make more mistakes. I think you have to just somehow relax and let the ball fly.
Get it to sink, maybe get a double play, even if you do give up a run. 2-2 to Crisp. Popped up. Not enough foul territory here to hold it. This game was very competitive, still is, of course, but sometimes you see it where a great defensive play is the fulcrum for the whole game.
Spark it, yes.
Donaldson started the big double play, and now the A's have a chance not only to score, but to have a big inning. To right center field. Santana can't catch it. The runners are almost passing each other, but all three of them will score. Sogard was a stride and a half behind Fold. And Crisp empties the bases, 3-0 Oakland.
It's just absolutely eerie to me how first hit walks coming to score. He's got 2 strikes on Crisp, and then he makes a mistake. That's what makes Oakland so good right now, is they're getting those pitches. They know they're going to get a mistake pitch. It's human nature to get a mistake once in a while, and they're not missing them. Good at bat right there for Coco Crisp.
Infield in all the way around. Now still nobody out. Jaso at the plate. He's bounced out twice to Dozier. I looked up. It's Sogard at almost past Fold. A little bit on this side of second base. That one went foul. Fold, of course, waiting because he wanted to make sure the ball was going to drop. But Sogard sprinted to second and nearly passed the runner. Three to nothing was the final score last night. 1 strike to Jaso. Now a ball.
Certainly this inning, Kyle Gibson's had trouble with his command. I know he's frustrated right now. You can see it on his face.
2-1.
That sinker just running too much. In his last start in Chicago, he gave up a 3 spot and was able to regroup. Twins were able to give him some run support. That's not the case so far in tonight's game.
Right to Dozier. Glares at Crisp. Throws Jaso out. 1 down. And now a look at the AT&T fan photo of the game. You can tweet your photo to #NorthFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. You're in the background there.
What the heck?
That looks like that's at our Fox Sports North set, maybe? Out at Target Field. Hanlon with his back to the camera. Infield in again for Donaldson. Ball 1. Donaldson drove a 2-out double. About where Crisp hit his bases clearing triple a few moments ago. .76 pitches, half of them balls, half of them strikes. Donaldson with 78 runs batted in, well off the pace set by Abreu.
Still on pace to drive in 100 over the year.
Three, 3-0. Leadoff walk. Walk to the number 9 batter. Already 25 pitches this inning.
No activity in the Twins bullpen. They want Kyle to learn from this, get through it.
And he misses low. You do have to throw it over the plate. No activity in the bullpen, at least not yet. Third walk of the inning. That'll bring up Moss. Now on FoxSportsNorth.com, Tyler Mason takes a look at the present and future of Kenny Vargas, who always has a smile on his face or is laughing, causing the Twins to smile too. The way he swings the bat, he has the only Twins hit so far in the ball game tonight as the designated hitter. And now Rick Anderson has already used a trip to the mound. He'll get somebody warming up down in the bullpen. Brandon Moss struck out in the first and bounced out to short in the fourth. Down low, ball 1. Only seen the A's now 5 times this year in person. Ball gets by Suzuki and a run will score. And Donaldson will go to second. Don't see that happen very often. Suzuki almost looked like he got crossed up on the pitch. It might have been in the dirt. But we've seen Kurt block so many of those, we're surprised when one gets by him.
Well, you've said that right. He's done such a good job of shifting his body out, getting his chest protector out over that ball. That one he just tried to glove, kind of backhanded and got by him.
Pass ball charged to Suzuki. But I think, Jack, we've seen from the A's how they've gotten it done. Kyle Gibson's own scouting report on the A's said, well, their batting average isn't much better than the Twins. But why have they scored so many runs? Well, look at this inning. They've been patient enough to take 3 walks, and that's on Gibson. He'd be the first guy to tell you that. Then you drop down a bunt, and you hustle, and you create a little chaos on the bases. Second and third, then you walk the number 9 guy, veteran hitter, delivers a drive to the gap. There's 3 runs on the board.
Good teams have an uncanny way of taking what is given to them. The Orioles back in the 80s were that kind of team.
Loof will try to track this one. And he makes the catch out number 2. And that'll bring up Lowry. Lowry's hit the ball hard twice. Actually hit the ball hardest the first time, lining out to Arcia in the second. Then he dropped the ball down the corner, into the corner, and then rattled around. And Lowry hustled for a triple. Anthony Swarzak warming up. Four runs in here in the 5th.
Just a tough inning for Kyle Gibson. Up to 83 pitches now.
Strike 1 at the knees. One of the few times Gibson's gotten ahead. Strike 1. Oh, and 1 to Lowry.
In his last few starts, Kyle Gibson didn't miss by that much in any pitch. If he missed, it was just inches off the plate. He's misfired a few times where it's been drastically off the plate, and that could be a sign of just focus. Not a good feel for him tonight for whatever reason.
Check swing foul. And what will bother Gibson once he does hopefully finish this 5th inning, Not just the walks, but who he walked. The 7th place hitter and the 9th place hitter. 1-2. Popped up. And Parmalee near the line. Ends a bad inning for Kyle Gibson and the Twins. They find themselves behind now 4-0. Nothing. Oakland, 3 runs earned against Kyle Gibson. Twins will try to score here in Oakland. They haven't done that yet. They were shut out last night, 3-0. Now it's 4-0. Parmalee, Nunez, and Schaefer to face Kazmir in the 6th. Parmalee hit a fly ball to center his first time up.
Twins have managed just 1 hit off Scott Kazmir tonight. 3 hits last night against John Lester, so the offense just has to figure something out in order to get back into this game for sure.
To right field, and Reddick back to catch. The drive, 1 down. That'll bring up Nunez. 20,196 the paid attendance. Diet Dew fans of the game. Twins fan in the middle, surrounded by Oakland fans. The attendance here in Oakland this year, just under 24,500 a game. Twins are right in the middle of a 15-team league in terms of attendance. The really disappointing team in terms of attendance, frankly, in all of baseball, the Cleveland Indians. Twins are drawing nearly 10,000 more fans a game. There's a drive to left off the bat of Nunez. Moss on the warning track makes the catch. 2 down. Cleveland Indians won 92 ball games last year, got into the playoffs. Now they're sub 500, but they had a really good year on the field last year, and they're not only last. Actually, Tampa Bay is last in average per game. But my goodness, the Indians drawing just 18,660 a game, and they made an announcement a couple days ago. They're going to renovate Progressive Field and take some of the seats out. Going to shorten the capacity by about 5,000. still a beautiful ballpark.
I was going to say, there's a similarity between that ballpark and this one. I don't know how many years we've come here where the whole upper level has been tarped off.
Yeah. They signed a 10-year lease here about a week ago with the agreement that sometime in that 10-year period they're going to try to build a new ballpark here, whether it's on this location, up the bay a little bit to the north,
or in San Jose.
Into the first baseman vote. And Kazmir has faced the minimum through 6 innings. He has, however, given up a hit. Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Toyota. The annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's. Stop in all summer for a cool, refreshing McCafe iced coffee, starting at just $1.59. Beautiful moon over the Bay Area. The scoreboard not too pretty with the A's in front 4-0. And Josh Reddick leading things off, taking ball 1. Gibson out there, but now ball 2.
Kyle's just been fighting it for 3 innings now. His command. He's trying to find a rhythm out there.
90 pitches, 43 strikes, 47 balls. And it's 3-0 to Reddick with Vogt to follow. And a 4-pitch walk.
Anthony Swarzak gets up and starts throwing immediately.
In his last start, he didn't walk anybody in 7 innings. See the Twins in the 10-game losing streak, and it's no mystery. Look how the A's have hit. Look how the Twins have hit. Look at the home runs. I mean, it's not been hard to figure out why Oakland's beaten the Twins 10 straight games. A season high 5 walks issued by Gibson, and walked more than 2 in his last 10 starts. Strike 1 to Stephen Vogt, who started the mess of a 5th inning by taking a walk. Base hit to right. Swarzak was warmed up in the 5th inning. It shouldn't take him long to get warm again, and we'll see whether the Twins have seen enough of Gibson here in the 6th. And that's it. 4 good innings in terms of hits and men left on base, particularly in runs allowed, but In the last 10 plate appearances, 6 men have reached. 7 men have reached. And 4 of them on walks. And it'll be Swarzak pitching next for the Twins. Again, there seemed to be some warning signs through the first 4 innings when he had a hard time throwing first pitch strikes or strikes in any time in the count.
You see the numbers on the evening for Kyle, 5+ innings. 5 hits, not too bad, but the walks, 5 walks, only 3 strikeouts. His ratio has been so much better than that as of late, and tonight just a little bump in the road.
But Swarzak coming out of the pen with the Twins already down 4-0.
In his 35th game out of the bullpen. A couple starts for Swarzy, but he's going to be asked to try to hold him right there and hope that the Twins can get something going offensively off Scott Kazmir, who's just been on a roll.
Swarzak took the loss in his last outing against the Padres, gave up the home run in the 10th inning to Seth Smith. 2 men on, nobody out. Sam Fuld, who bunted for a base hit, might be asked to simply sacrifice bunt here in the 6th. Showing no signs, he takes ball 1.
With nobody out, you would think that'd be the logical move, but maybe Bob Melvin's going to let him take a swing. They're up by 4. That makes a difference. You've got a little bit of a cushion, a little room for error.
Takes a strike, pulling the bat back.
Well, that had to be a drag bunt situation there. There's no way you're going to sacrifice bunt and get the bat around that late. He's trying to catch Plouffe or maybe Parmalee at first base off guard a little.
What he did in the 5th inning. Taking a low, 2-1. I expressed this to Sam yesterday. I think Twins fans would echo it. He really played well, and he represented the Twins awfully well when he was in a Twins uniform. He had the concussion thing that set him down for a while, but bunted foul. He made an impression with me, and I think a lot of Twins fans. He's a good baseball player.
He had a really, really good start out of the gate after the All-Star game.
Right.
He was probably the best, well, on base percentage-wise.
He had a great July,
yeah, he was the best Twin.
At a time when they needed somebody to get on base. 2-2. Parmalee goes to the bag. He'll get the out. Both runners move up. 1 away, and Sogard the batter. Twins fans, if you need to replace the flip-flops you've been wearing all summer, come to a Twins game, specifically the game Wednesday, August 20th, when the Twins take on the Indians. It's fan flip-flop night presented by the Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel. You can call 800-33-TWINS or visit twinsbaseball.com and get your tickets. Infield in now again, already down 4-0. Sogard the batter. He walked to fill the bases in a similar spot in the 5th. Down and in, ball 1. Swarzak with 6 pitches thrown, only 3 strikes. At the knees, 1-1. It's a wonderful feeling if you're a fan or if you're a player. And you've got things going as the A's do. And you just sense Coco Crisp is going to get a double or a triple here. Sogard is going to get a run in here. You just anticipate it because you've seen it happen so many times over the course of the season.
Good teams always feel that whatever the score is, they can still win the game. They just, it's in them. And I believe this Oakland A's team, again, it's not famous. I mean, other than their pitching staff around the nation in the baseball world, the Sogards and the Votes and the Sam Folds and the Jed Lowrys of the world, and Brandon Mosses, they're not big household names. But this group of guys has something special, and that is they play the game.
3-1 to the number 9 batter. Twins have already walked him once. Fouled back. And Gomes, I think, brought some of that with him to Boston. That's kind of what the Red Sox had going for them last year. The sum being greater than the individual parts. You had it, your championship team, certainly the 91 Twins.
It's called team chemistry, and it's nothing that there's a stat on. And so the sabermetricians of the world that have become some of the scouts.
And again, it was almost predictable that the number 9 batter would maybe not hit a gapper, but get at least 1 run in. He gets 2 in with a double. And that completes the log on Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, those last 2 runs will be charged to Kyle Gibson. He'll end up giving up 6 runs, 5 earned.
Sogard hitting .214, but I think everybody here was expecting him to at least get a run in. Couple of inherited runners score on Swarzak. Crisp at the plate.
Whether you want to or not, you're going to have to give some credit to Chili Davis, the Oakland A hitting coach. He came over a couple years ago, and this team has really improved. And I think a lot of it takes time, but these guys are buying into not necessarily Chili changing them, but his philosophy about understanding situations. We talk a lot. Chili and I are very good friends, and I really do appreciate his friendship. I love talking to him about hitting because I talk about pitching the way he talks about hitting. There's a lot of common denominators. And we had a long chat the other day. We were talking about a lot of his players. The guy at the plate, for instance, told him this year that he's feeling like he's having his best year ever offensively.
Crisp?
Coco Crisp. And he said because he's not trying to do too many things. And that's something Chili's worked with him about, just understanding game situations and knowing what the guy on the mound is trying to do against you. For Chili, that's one of the biggest things that young hitters have to understand. Quit worrying about what your swing's doing, whether you're out in front. He says, try to understand what the guy on the mound is trying to do to you in this particular situation.
Remember when Chili got the job with the A's, there was a period, the first 2-3 months, where they weren't scoring runs at all. I mean, they really struggled. And I don't know if it was the adjustment to the hitting coach or whether it was just a dry patch in the season for the A's, but somewhere around the middle part of his first season, a little over 2 years ago, things started clicking here, and they've had people move in and out, but they've got a good program here, the offensive side. 2-2 to Crisp. Only one out. Sogard at second. And now 3-2. And Swarzak has done pretty much what Gibson did, and that is alternate balls and strikes. 16 pitches, 8 strikes for Swarzak. Jaso on deck. And a called third strike. 2 down. The same pitch Gibson used to strike out Fold in the third inning.
Yeah, fastball that may have been off the plate. At least that's what the Fold and now Crisp thought it was. And plate umpire Ed Hickok calling it a strike.
Jaso's hit 3 ground balls to Brian Dozier for outs. Strike 1. Two. That's what the Twins wanted to see from Swarzak and what he usually does. He's very aggressive coming into the game, throwing strikes, attacking the hitter. But he's had problems throwing strikes here tonight too. Another ground ball to Dozier. For the 4th time, Dozier throws him out. But in the 6th, 2 more for the A's. Grand Casino story of the game, and again, all Oakland so far tonight.
Scott Kazmir giving him just 1 hit over 6 innings of work. Faced just the minimum amount of hitters so far. Coco Crisp getting the big hit back in the 5th inning after 2 walks and a base hit. He clears the bases with a triple, 3 RBIs. And then Eric Sogard gets a double last inning with a leadoff walk and a base hit aboard that seals the night for Kyle Gibson. The A's are winning at this point 6-0.
Shut out the Twins last night 3-0. And while Scott Kazmir hasn't been perfect, he's been awfully close. 18 outs from 18 batters. Vargas singled sharply off the glove of Lowry to start the 5th inning. And then Suzuki cracked a wicked 1-hop smash behind the third base bag, but Donaldson picked it off and started a 5-4-3 double play. And there's another first pitch strike to Santana. 1-1. Santana 0 for 2. Hit the ball hard his first time up, caught by Fold, and then hit a comebacker to Kazmir.
The other little difference, subtle difference in this game is last night John Lester threw to Derek Norris, his catcher. tonight Kazmir's throwing to John Jaso. So you've got two different catchers, and yet their consistency is just eerie in the way they're going about dissecting the Twins lineup.
And Santana drives a base hit to center. And that'll bring up Dozier. Strikeout hunger at Feed My Starving Children. You can pack meals at the Coon Rapids and Egan locations between now and August 31st, or the Chanhassen location between now and September 12th. And while you're there, register for a chance to win admission for two to a Twins game and ride in style on the Fox Sports North Fan Express. It's something I've done, packing meals at Feed My Starving Children, a very worthwhile charity, and it's a wonderful feeling going there and being able to very directly, literally hands-on, help feed some starving people. Brian Dozier 0 for 2, a strikeout in the first, bouncer to short in the fourth. And there's a strike. Kazmir came into the game with a 6-4 mark against the Twins, an ERA of 3.12, his lowest ERA of any American League team. In his last 6 starts, 4-0 with a sub-2 ERA. Now outside, that might be his first 3-ball count.
It's a reason why he's got such a good pitch count. 69 total pitches here in the 7th inning. Very similar to John Lester last night, who just seemed effortless in his complete game shutout.
And Dozier takes a walk.
Lester walked Dozier last night in his 3rd plate appearance. That was his first walk, and tonight again Dozier drawing the first walk of the game.
Rather forlorn look by Kazmir, pitching with a 6-run lead.
Well, 2 men on without an out, so he's going to have to start working here. You never can take anything for granted.
Last night it just seemed like the A's were going to win the ball game, but then you think back and Brian Dozier missed the foul pole by a matter of inches. This one off the glove of Donaldson into short left field. Santana will skitter around third and score, and the Twins are on the board. Loof with a wicked one-hopper, and Donaldson's really disgusted with himself that he didn't pick Loof's ball off like he did Suzuki's earlier in the game. Twins finally get a run here in Oakland. Still nobody out in the 7th.
Now batting, number 19.
Breaking ball down and in. Trevor Plouffe drops the barrel of the bat. You can see the disgust there. But that ball was hit hard. He's going to have to make a great play. Danny Santana scores easily with his speed.
Vargas got the first Twins hit leading off the 5th inning. Lowry nearly picked off a one-hop smash on his backhand side. You said he could have potentially gotten in front of that ball, but he just turned 30, and I think he wanted to see his 40th birthday. I mean, that ball was... That was a top spin rocket.
We used to call those ugly finders. Just get your ugly body in front of it, put your chest out, shut your eyes, and let it hit you. Pick it up and throw the guy out. Got plenty of time. It's on you in a hurry.
So Denny Hocking tried to do that when Jose Canseco hit a smash, and it hit him right in the grill.
Picked him up and threw him out to left field. Huh?
Fouled off a foot. 2 strikes to Vargas. Asking Chili Davis, who was a great switch hitter, greater in 91 than he was in 92 in terms of power, but in his career, great switch hitter, and was kind of picking his brain about Vargas, who apparently has already become an anomaly in Twins history, way out in front of the off-speed pitch and strikeout. We'll talk more about that later in the series. But Vargas, a switch hitter with power, something the Twins have not had a lot of experience with. One down.
Pulls the string here on the breaking ball, and Vargas just way out in front of it. That's something I promise you didn't see a lot of in Double-A. A guy that can change speeds on a breaking ball.
Yeah. One down, and now Arcia. Arcia struck out twice swinging against Kazmir. Up the middle, a base hit. And Dozier around third. He's coming home. And he'll score, and it's a 6-2 ball game. Maybe more importantly, Arcia, after a couple of frustrating at-bats again. It's a solid base hit against a tough left-hander. 6-2, and that brings up Suzuki.
Well, he goes up the middle with this. Again, that's the slider. This time not off the plate. It's on the plate. But Arcia has a lot better approach to this one. He keeps his head down. He drives the ball back up the middle instead of trying to pull the ball. It's a lot better result.
Kurt Young to the mound. And now some activity. Ryan Cook beginning to get loose down in the Oakland bullpen. Suzuki with a fly ball to center, and then a one-hop smash converted by Donaldson into an inning-ending double play.
We haven't seen any of it in this series so far, but you mentioned yesterday that Bob Melvin has called this the best bullpen that he's had here in Oakland since he's managed.
Right now, it's a pretty well-rested bullpen.
And absolutely. Plus, he can't let this one get too far out of whack. You got a 4-run lead. He's not going to allow Kazmir to mess it up too much more than that.
Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Even though his pitch count's in a great spot at 77 pitches, here with one out in the 7th inning.
Suzuki could really force the issue here if he can get on base. Popped up near the Twins dugout. Look at Vogt hustle after it. He has no play. They've hit on top of our camera. Boy, you've got to be not just fast but quick. Vogt really came charging after that ball.
Good effort. He was there just in case.
Cover. 1-2. Popped up center field. Fold wants it. 2 down, and that'll bring in Parmelee. In the inning, 3 singles, a walk, a couple of runs, and the Twins need a long ball here. Parmelee hit the ball hard as last time, lining out to Reddick in right.
Parmelee's had a few home runs off left-handers. One swing of the bat could put the Twins within 1 and change the whole feel of this evening here in Oakland.
Strike on the first pitch from Kazmir. Kazmir's pitch count just 80 pitches.
The splits there for Chris Parmelee versus righties and lefties. Does a pretty good job against left-handers.
94 miles per hour. A swinging strike 2.
You don't look at Scott Kazmir and think 94-mile-an-hour fastball, but he's got it in there. There's a lot of breaking balls. He's a command pitcher.
Down and in at 95.
I got to believe that he has been told this is your last inning. And thus, if he could get a Parmalee, this would be his last hitter.
Foul back. Kazmir's just letting it fly right now.
He's going to say, if you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me with a fastball. Throwing 3 in a row. We'll see now if he drops the hook, if he takes a little off. You can't get beat by the fastball, though, if you're Chris Parmalee.
Just missed the outside corner. Kazmir almost stepped off the mound, anticipating a strike 3 call.
We'll look at that one right here. Clock strike says ball.
2-2. That's down the line, and a fair ball into the bullpen area. It'll score 1. The ball eludes Moss. It scores 2, and it's a 6-4 ball game. Now a loose ball to the infield, and Parmalee will go to third base as the A's kick the ball around both in the outfield and the infield. And the Twins, who did not score in the first 15 innings here in Oakland, have scored 4 times in the 7th. Credit Parmalee with another productive at bat against a lefty.
Kazmir was determined to get him out with a fastball, and he finally left one up in the zone, even though it was away. Chris Parmalee goes with the pitch, doubles down the line. Then you see right there that Brandon Moss kind of has trouble getting rid of it.
Only 1 error charged to Moss. He should be charged with 1 there, and then another one on the throw. But Kazmir can't complete the 7th inning thanks to a great at bat by Chris Parmalee. Give him 2 innings. Chris Parmalee, he was up there with 2 strikes against a tough left-hander, and Kazmir kept throwing one mid-90s fastball after another. Parmalee flicked off a couple fouls, took one for a ball, and then ended up whacking one into the left field corner.
Very good at bat. New pitcher for the Oakland A's, the right-hander Ryan Cook. You see his numbers for the year, his 39th appearance. Very good ERA. Seems like everybody on their staff.
And Nunez represents the tying run. He takes inside, ball 1. So scoreless game till the A's got 4 in the 5th. Then they added 2 more in the 6th. Now the Twins have scored 4 in the 7th.
You Got to give the Twins credit for not throwing in the towel. They're still battling.
2-0. Just to get Parmalee and forget the 6th run. If you can find a way to get another run in and make it a 1-run ball game.
And then one swing of the bat.
To right center field toward the gap. Fouled over. Can't get it. Parmalee will score. Nunez to second. He wants one more. And he falls down and now tries to get back to second and gets back safely. Nunez had a triple. And he's out of gas lying on the second base bag.
Well, sometimes in this game you got to laugh at some of the funny things. He's really flying around second base. He can smell a triple. And then the old dirt monster jumps up and grabs him. And he trips and falls. And then he still had the fortitude to get up and get back to second base. You can see he caught a spike or something there. Good hustle to get back to second base.
He had a problem with his helmet going into second base. I don't think that impacted his striding after he reached the bag. But now the tying run is at second with 2 down. And Jordan Schaefer will hit.
That'll close the book on Scott Kazmir. All those runs, all 5 of them will be charged to him.
And Schaefer lines one foul.
There was a throwing error.
Now, how in the world? It would be an earned run, though. The double, I think, would have scored Parmalee. The error charged allowed Parmalee to go to third base. But how in the world do you figure out this game, Jack? 18 up, 18 down, and he gives up 5 runs in the 7th.
There's one word that I can describe it, and it's just a guess. I'm not in their shoes, but focus.
Schaefer has a chance to get his most important hit as a Twin. He's behind in the count 0-2. Santana singled. You could see the frustration.
Lead-off single.
You could see the frustration on Kazmir's face when he walked Dozier, and the whole inning just kind of fell apart after that. Speedy runner at second. We'll see what Schaefer can get done here. 0 for 2. The fly ball to left and a bouncer to first. And a strikeout. Schaefer goes down on 3 pitches, but the Twins erupt for 5 in the 7th.
This game scoring 5, 6-5 Oakland right now. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
You know, Chris Parmalee's great at bat, highlighting a 5-run 7th inning. nothing, literally nothing for 15 innings and then a 5 spot.
And you're right. I mean, that's what makes this game so unpredictable, so crazy. I remember Tom Kelly talking about some of the great teams when the Twins were really going through a tough time. And he said, you know what? On paper, we're not supposed to even be out on the field. Why don't we just go play the game and see what happens?
Outside, and now a very important inning for Anthony Swarzak. Swarzak inherited 2 runners. They both scored on Sogard's double. And now Swarzak needs to go to work, needs to throw strikes and get the Twins off the field in a hurry. 2-0.
Just in case, the Twins have got Jared Burton up and throwing in their bullpen. Changes the whole dynamics. The way the pitcher is going to match up. Gardy can't allow anything to get too far out of whack right now.
Well, now, the count is 2-1. It was not 2-0. And everywhere posted, including the scoreboard in the ballpark, the count is 2-1. I think I said it was 2-0. Donaldson, Moss, and Lowry here in the Oakland 7th. Three and 1. Walks led to the 4-run 5th and the 2-run 6th. 3-2. Donaldson with a double and a walk against Gibson. Neither resulted in any scoring. Fouled away. Caleb Thielbar is getting loose behind the bullpen mound.
You ever wonder, and I do this all the time, I'm reinventing the rules of the game and trying to come up with what would change. What would be the difference if you weren't allowed to walk? If a pitcher had to just pitch to him, either gets on base or he makes an out. And you know what I think would do? I think you'd see guys throwing more strikes early in the count. They wouldn't be nibbling. They know they have to get them out.
Right.
Or do you think they'd just always be on the corner or off the plate?
I'm just afraid we'd have a 5.5-hour game.
Well, there's no question that it'd be a 20-hour game probably.
Full count to Donaldson.
Ignore that guy next to you.
And a walk starts the 7th inning. It was a walk to the leadoff man in the 5th that led to a 4-run inning. And then Gibson walked Reddick leading off the 6th. And now here's a walk to Donaldson and a walk from Ron Gardenhire, who's going to come out and get Swarzak. Just scored 5 runs. You're back in the game, and you just can't afford to walk.
Both Reddick in the 6th and Vogt in the 5th. The leadoff walks, they both came around to score.
Jared Burton will pitch next for the Twins. The leadoff walk aboard in a one-run game. He'll first pitch to Brandon Moss. Burton coming in for the 50th time. Done a much better job after a rough start in April. A 2-inning outing against San Diego. 1 hit, 1 walk in the 2 innings. And that outing started kind of like this. He didn't come in to start an inning. He came in after a base runner had reached. Moss is 0 for 3. A strikeout, a ground out, and a foul out.
One for 3 lifetime off Jared Burton.
Ball 1. Had 31 plate appearances. And seems like about 10 first pitch strikes. And there's a second pitch strike. Swarzak ended up facing 5 men, giving up a 2-run double and now a walk. Runner goes, a walking lead. The Twins get a break with Moss fouling it at the plate. Donaldson was accelerating as Burton was breaking from the stretch.
Little mind lapse right there for Jared Burton. He's got to understand what that run means, and if it takes 2 or 3 looks to hold the runner, most good base runners hate when you hold. They want to have a timing thing. They can just get a great jump right away.
Twins into a pull shift now with 2 strikes, figuring that Burton's got to be aware of Donaldson here at first. Now with the count 2-2. Missing now 3-2.
So important that he gets an out right here. Watch the last pitch. The way Kurt Suzuki caught it. He's setting up a way, has to cross the entire plate and backhand it, and that's probably what the home plate umpire saw.
Runner doesn't go, and Moss strikes out.
Got him to chase ball 4. Big out.
And that'll bring up Lowry. 10-game winning streak with the Twins. Which 2 Oakland Athletics have hit the most home runs? I'll go Donaldson as 1.
How about Cespedes?
Oh, look at that. Crisp and Lowry. No home runs hit yet tonight, although Crisp does have a 3-run triple. Lowry has a triple too, but he didn't score. And paying Donaldson at least some attention. Swing and a miss. Foul tip. 1 strike. We were scoreless through 4. The A's had a 4-run 5th, a 2-run 6th. The Twins with a 5-run 7th. So we've got a game. Important inning. Half swing and strike 2 to Lowry. To Lowry. All ball. They're struggling to throw strikes. Burton now has thrown 4 straight. goes. And that ball in the dirt. And Donaldson seals second base. Nearly stole it during the Moss at bat.
Another very good jump right there by Josh Donaldson. This guy plays the game right. He likes to get dirty. He's just an all-around good baseball man. Now in scoring position, very, very important run for Oakland.
Two and two. Thielbar continues to warm up lightly. He is warmed up. Reddick, the next batter, left-handed batter.
Mentioned that right-hander Luke Gregerson was out throwing. He sat down. Now he may be coming in to pitch the top of the 8th against the Twins.
Two and two. Hook foul. They scatter in the Twins bullpen. Every once in a while, Thielbar will throw a pitch down there, but he's ready to go. And Burton must know it, too, that he's going to pitch to Lowry, finish this at bat, and then Thielbar will come in to face Reddick. And Suzuki will go to the mound. Walked Donaldson to start the 7th. Donaldson stole second a few pitches ago. 2 and 2. High pop-up to short right. Dozier out. Arcia in, and Arcia calls him off and squeezes it out number 2. And now Reddick, who has struggled against left-handers, will face one here with 2 outs and a runner at second. Caleb Thielbar will come in to try to get Reddick and keep this a 1-run game.
Ron Gardner and I are trying to piece this all together.
Moves, trying to keep this a 1-run ball game. Reddick 75 at bats against a left-hander, hitting just 173 and only 1 extra base hit in 75 at bats.
Really been struggling against lefties. 0 for 2 lifetime against Caleb Thielbar. You see the numbers there for Thielbar. He's in his 42nd game. Pitched in last night's game, 1/3 of an inning, gave up a hit, a walk, and a strikeout.
Tonight, Reddick is 0 for 2, 2 ground outs and a leadoff walk in the 6th. Missing the inside corner with a breaking ball. High drive to right field. Arcia back at the wall, leaps and makes the catch. Reddick nearly hit one out, nearly got a big extra base hit. We go to the 8th in a 1-run game. Joe might play tomorrow, Saturday, and then spend Sunday as a travel day getting to Houston. I think that's the hope, that he'll be able to rejoin the club when we get to Houston. Gregerson coming into the ball game to pitch to the Twins, who batted around in the 7th inning and scored 5 times.
Numbers there for Luke Gregerson. He'll be asked to pitch the 8th inning. Get to the 9th.
53 2/3 innings, only 3 home runs, only 12 walks. Santana triggered the 5-run 7th with a single to center, leading off the inning. Santana lined out to start the game, hit a chopper off the plate right to Casimir, and then singled sharply to center. And a strike.
What impresses me most about Danny Santana with his approach as both a right-hander and left-handed hitter is how quiet his lower body is. He just doesn't offer a lot there. He trusts his hands, and he's got very quick hands. A lot of hitters let their lower body control their swing, and when your lower body goes, you have to have a lot of strength in your upper body to make up for it if they're not in sync.
Just think of where we've seen him hit the baseball. He's got 5 home runs, and he doesn't seem to use his legs at all. A bunt up the line, but it'll kick foul. Threatened to do it on the prior pitch. Getting his speed on the base is so important in this 8th inning.
He's been able to avoid a prolonged slump at any point of the summer. And I think that's a big part of it, is the fact that he trusts his hands as a hitter. Of course, we'd love to see him bunt, get a few more hits. All that's going to do is open up the infield, bring him in, and those line drives that he hits are going to be quicker through the infield. So he could really add to his overall game if he could lay down a few bunts here and there.
2-2. Popped up. Left side of the infield. Donaldson, Lowry. It's Lowry with the catch, one away. That'll bring up Dozier. Dozier with a walk and a run scored.
Dozier had a walk in last night's game. The first walk that John Lester gave up was the first walk in tonight's game. Eventually scored tonight, but has yet to get a hit in this series here in Oakland. Casey Fiend, he'll get the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th.
Strike down the middle. Popped up. Your third. Easy catch for Donaldson. And a fair ball catch. 2 away. RBI Baseball is back with all 30 teams and 2014 players. Get the retro 2-button style baseball game you've been missing. Visit RBIGame.com for more details and download today on your console and mobile devices. 2 down quickly here in the 8th, and that'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. At the knee, strike 1. Hits are even at 6 apiece. Errors are even 1 apiece. And now the difference is the game, all the walks that were given the A's in the middle innings. Chopper over the mound. Sogard has an easy play. And Gregerson has an easy 1-2-3 8th inning. Twins figure to have a switch hitter left-hander and a right-hander facing Sean Doolittle. Now with Johnny Gomes being announced as a pinch hitter for Vogt. Ron Gardenhire is going to make a pitching change. He had Casey Fiend warming up while the Twins were hitting in the top of this inning, anticipating that the A's were going to make a move. And they did. So Thielbar, who warmed up, doesn't throw a pitch in the 7th. And Casey Fiend will pitch to Gomes when we come back. From the Red Sox over to the A's. No stranger here, a fan favorite here, and it'll be right-hander Casey Fiend pitching to him.
And it's pretty much going to be fastball cutter from Casey. He goes right after the hitters. Johnny Gomes brought back, like you mentioned, Dick here to Oakland. He was a great teammate. They love his energy and leadership. Had a lot of conversations with Johnny Gomes. He's a baseball guy. He loves this game.
Down and away, ball 1. Like so many of the Oakland players, wound a little tight. And I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean they're here to play baseball, and they're going to do whatever they can to beat you. And it's a very intense yet fun-loving atmosphere here. Foul back over the Twins dugout. It's 1-2.
I think it's always healthy to have a group of characters that buy into the team concept, and certainly Oakland has them. They've always had them. You know, back in the Charlie Finley days, encouraging them to grow facial hair, and of course nowadays you don't think twice about any of that.
2-2. Got so many big hits last year for the Red Sox. Late in the regular season through the postseason.
Well, he went to Boston and did the same thing he did here.
Yep.
And they won a world championship there in Boston.
Apparently his new Oakland A's helmet doesn't fit him real well. He's fidgeting on the helmet all the time. Swing and a miss. And Fiend strikes him out. 1 down.
Good breaking ball right there from Casey. Good location. You see Johnny Gomes pulling off a little bit, trying to hit the ball to a different county.
And now Sam Fuld. And a first pitch strike. And outside, a ball. The outside corner. Twins picked up Fold on waivers. And then traded it back for Tommy Malone. Left field, hanging in the air for Schaefer. 2 down. Malone has made 1 start for the Twins Rochester Ball Club. And I'm sure there won't be a whole lot of time that passes before we'll see him up here.
I'm guessing he'll be in the next series in Houston. If not there, maybe at home. But we're definitely going to see him soon in the big leagues.
Eric Sogard with the bases empty. Bean trying to pitch a 1-2-3 late inning. Sean Doolittle warming up in the Oakland pen. Two-0. With Chris Bondac. Sogard drew a costly walk from Gibson in the 5th. Ended up scoring on Crisp's triple. Then he drove in 2 runs with a double. Down the middle, a strike. Back.
Casey Fiend just rearing back and throwing number 1 right now. You fall behind the number 9 here. You have 2 outs. You don't want to have this continue. You got to go after this guy now with full count. He's got to challenge him again.
A's are leading here by a run. Boston leading the Angels 4-2 in the 8th inning in Anaheim. Swing and a miss. Fiend has a nice 1-2-3 8th with a couple of strikeouts.
You know, it's why you start playing baseball when you're a little kid, and you know, when it finally does happen, it's kind of surreal for a bit. But you know, I had the whole flight here and stuff to kind of get that out of the way, and then just coming into the clubhouse, it feels like another day at the field. So I'm definitely excited to be here, and it's just one of those cool things that happens in your life and only happens once. So I'm just enjoying it.
Probably unfair to predict a broadcasting career for a guy who's hadn't played his first major league game. What an incredible voice!
Him and you. I mean, there's a little competition for you down the road.
I tell you what, he's got a great voice and a great right arm. Sean Doolittle coming into the ball game here in a one-run ball game, and he will face Kenny Vargas, Oswaldo Arcia, and Kurt Suzuki. Doolittle, an incredible story. Just recently became a pitcher, and now he's one of the best closers in the game. Vargas takes a strike. Doolittle, born in Twins territory, Rapid City, South Dakota. His dad was in the Air Force, stationed at Ellsworth Air Force Base out in the Rapid City area. One strike to Vargas. And now a ball. Vargas with a single, a ground out, and a strikeout. Derek Norris catching the ninth inning. Moss is at first, and Gomes staying in the game in left field. Vargas ricks one right through the wickets. And Vargas is aboard. It's the second time he's nearly disemboweled an Oakland infielder. My goodness. Ball just, it made Donaldson, a Gold Glove winning third baseman, jump up in the air.
Not a lot of reaction time is what you're really trying to say. Look at how quick that ball goes through.
So Vargas with his second hit, almost both of them through an infielder. Now Eduardo Escobar is running for Vargas, who's done his job getting aboard here, leading off the ninth inning. Arcia, the batter. Faced Lester 3 times last night, got a base hit. Faced Kazmir 3 times tonight, got a base hit. And another tough lefty on the mound here in the ninth inning. And Arcia tried to put the Twins in front. He tried to hit the ball to San Francisco is what he tried to do.
It's hard to take that out of a kid. You want to have him be aggressive, and yet swings like that rarely make contact.
Similar swing and marginal contact, 2 strikes.
That ball got in on him a little too much. He never got the head of the bat out to the ball.
Fastballs, 1 down.
See this location of the fastball. You see where Norris is setting up, and Doolittle just about perfect with his location.
All of them up. CenturyLink linked to what's next. It'll be Trevor May making his major league debut tomorrow against Jeff Samardzija.
We've had some very good pitchers duels in this series. Pino did a good job last night. Gibson was on fire for a while. There's Samardzija, tomorrow's pitcher for Oakland.
Suzuki takes a 95-mile-per-hour fastball over the inside corner. 0 for 3. He's hit the ball hard once. Had a double taken away by Donaldson. Foul back, 2 strikes.
Getting into this now. 2 outs away. Supporting Doolittle.
to right center field. Fold. With an adjustment late, Suzuki hit it on the button for out number 2.
Hitters always talk about want to put a good swing on it. That's all you can do, and that's exactly what Kurt Suzuki does there. Gets a ball up and away, and he goes with it, but unfortunately right at Sam Fold to center field. He'll be down to a pinch hitter here. Josh Willingham's going to pinch hit for Chris Parmalee.
Parmalee had a couple of good at-bats against Kazmir, including a great at-bat in the 7th inning, delivering a 2-run double. Willingham has only faced Doolittle twice, 0 for 1 with a walk. Mimicking his setup, which is kind of a mirror image, I guess, of what Craig Kimbrell does with the Braves, where he extends his right arm. Strike at the knee.
Good thing he's not a starter. He'd have a lot of cramps in his arm, holding his arm up like that. Never have a sore neck, though.
1 strike to Willingham. And a ball. Escobar with just 1 steal in 2 tries. He's there to score on a double. Something that Vargas would not likely would have done. Foul back 2-2.
Now there's a pitch that Josh has got to do something with. You don't get that many against this ball club. They've been so good about their location. That one was kind of a cookie fastball right in Willingham's wheelhouse, and he fouls it back.
2-2 to Willingham. Got a piece. So much focus on Willingham's low number of home runs this year, just 11. 214 at bats. He has only 5 doubles. And a total of 17 extra base hits. It's going to take one of those to keep this game alive. Drive to deep left field. And foul. Willingham never left the batter's box. Not as close as Dozier's last night, but a frightening moment for the 20,000 here when that ball left home plate.
Had the distance, but just out in front a little bit. Funny game.
Another 2-2 for Willingham. Call third strike. Doolittle gives up a leadoff single and a near home run by Willingham, but picks up the save. And the A's have made it now 11 in a row against the Twins.
Well, Oakland's bullpen comes in and does their job tonight. Kazmir had a tough go in the 7th. The Twins scored 5 times, just not enough.
So the Oakland A's continue on a roll. They have a chance to pick up yet another game Anthony LaPanta on the Los Angeles Angels. They're trailing the Red Sox 4-2 in the ninth. Let's see, what do we got here?
We can talk about how